Welcome, folks. We are here for the first show of 2023. Of course, myself, Josh, along with Boz. How's it been? Happy New Year.
Yeah, happy New Year, man. Yeah, I'm not so well. I have a little thing going on, kind of some kind of a. I'm not sure what it is. But it's nothing major like a cold. Yeah.
Okay. Well, get well for sure. I was about to ask you how does 2023 feel, but I
Yeah,
guess you just let me know right there. So we'll
not the
see if
best
things
start,
improve.
but hopefully it will get
Good to
better
go. Good to
soon.
go. Good to go.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely get well. Of
Mm.
course, we're here to talk some boxing. And we're not going to go too long. We have a habit of going maybe 2.5, 3 hours. You never know with us, but we're going to keep it short and sweet to a certain degree here today.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep it on 2023 boxing. And of course, with that in mind, we do actually get a taste of the boxing medicine this weekend, and it's going to be here in my neck of the woods, in actuality, Washington, D.C., at the Capital One Arena. Oh, you know what? Before I get to that, I'm skipping over a fight. I'm skipping over a fight. I shouldn't do that. But there's actually a fight on Friday, the 6th of January. This is taking place in Osaka, Japan.
Right.
Now, I wasn't aware of this actual card until just now, but we have Valadares versus Shigoka. This is going to be a 12 round minimum weight fight. Oh,
All right.
another minimum weight fight on there as well.
Yeah,
So
that's
that
why.
may be why it hasn't gotten quite the buzz that we typically would see with certain fights. Minimum weight. Are you going to be checking that
Yeah.
out?
That's why I never heard of those guys. I don't really follow minimum weight so much. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds the same here with me. So we wish them luck. Hopefully, the best man wins. I may try to check out some highlights because this could be an introduction. Mexico versus Japan. In
Hmm.
Japan, there was a big show
Nice.
that took place not too long ago there as well. Ioka and Joshua Franco, and in
Yeah.
this case, Joshua Franco and Ioka fought to a draw. I thought that would
All
just
right.
be worth mentioning.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's the one that happened on New Year's Eve, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I caught it. Well, I didn't catch it live. I was watching the replay while I was at a restaurant, which probably isn't the proper thing to do, but I caught some of it. I still need to watch it actually when I'm paying attention full force. So we'll see. But
Hmm.
that aside, we can get to the actual big event on Saturday, January 7th, 2023, where we have Davis taking on Hector Garcia, and it's going to be for the WBA World Lightweight Championship. And that is the main event in the Capital One Arena here in Washington, D.C. So it should be a pretty big event, big atmosphere, fight
Hmm.
atmosphere, and I expect it should have a pretty solid turnout. Just given that
Yeah.
Davis is from Baltimore, of course he has ties here to in D.C. and I imagine Virginia, the DMV. It's all kind of intertwined in some sense. So let's see how this goes. But just given the thought, we know that Hector Garcia is moving up. What do you expect from Hector Garcia taking on one of boxing's biggest punchers actually?
Yeah, obviously he has been a really has done well at 130, and so it's natural to expect to for him to at least put on some pressure on Tank, and I don't know him that well, but he seems to be a really uh, a good solid fighter. I don't know how hard he hits really, but maybe you know probably that better. But anyway, I do expect a good fight for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
do.
saw when he beat Chris Colbert. I wouldn't say it was from power punching. He pretty much outboxed him, out
Yeah. Right.
experienced Chris Colbert, who had a lot of confidence probably thought that he was going to walk through Hector Garcia, and Hector Garcia
Mm.
set him up for a rude awakening. And I think in this case, he's moving up. He seems to be a fairly long fighter in comparison to Davis, but I guess that's
Mm.
the majority of the case anytime he
Yeah.
fights anyone, you know. So,
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say Davis. That's what he needs because he hasn't fought too many technical fighters yet. I mean, Pedraza may be one of the few,
yeah.
but else, otherwise, he had Rolly Romero, a puncher
Oh,
in
yeah.
his last victory. Then he had that guy, what's his name, Isaac Cruz. But
Oh, yeah.
also another. Oh
Leo.
yeah, that's one Santa Cruz, Leo Santa Cruz. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, and Leo Santa Cruz.
he's like so not a technical fighter. Really, he's just a brawler. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right. Certainly, Pedraza was one's a sniper, and he caught the sniper when he was undefeated, and he was able to stop him. So that is
yeah,
most certainly a good win. I'd argue his best win, but some may see it
probably
different.
yes
Some
too.
may see Leo Santa Cruz, who I think was a good fighter, but he was
Was
coming up, of course, and I never
yeah,
viewed him as that guy in the way that some people have, of course. But you
he
know,
was no longer at his best either. I would say Santa Cruz.
yeah.
Yeah, but he had quite a few movings up in weight and.
Yeah, so that's certainly an interesting one. Hello to my mom there. It says, hello, son and Boz. Happy 2023 and keep up the good work. So thank you for sure. We're going to try and
Thanks.
do so.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
So we appreciate you jumping in. The first show of the year. And of course, shout out to Rodolfo Rivera Jr., who says, yo, what's
Good.
up, 86 and Boz? Of course, we appreciate you being here as well, Rodolfo.
What's up, Rodolfo?
2023. We appreciate you joining us. I know it's going to be more to come, so definitely, Rodolfo, we'll be in touch. We'll be chatting. We'll be talking about what's happening here in 2023, and hopefully, we continue to see the best matchups being
Yeah.
made, or we start to see. Of course, there is a best matchup that we haven't seen yet that we hope will take place in 2023. Otherwise, it's just an expired title fight, essentially, which we've seen in the past. But
Hmm.
time will tell, of course. But anyway, yeah, to Gervonta Tank Davis versus Hector Garcia, a lot of people seem to be riding with the skills of Hector Garcia. I don't know if they're necessarily saying that he's going to win, but they think that he's going to make for a very good fight, which should be interesting for Davis. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, I think it will be probably. I mean, not necessarily, but let's hope so.
We can hope. We can always hope. And of course, on the undercard, we're gonna get treated to a fight. Jerron Boots Ennis,
Oh yeah.
147 pounder, one of the exciting up and coming fighters that is out there. He is going to be taking on a Ukrainian fighter, last name Chikadze. I have not seen him. I believe he's
Oh
undefeated.
yeah.
I believe he's like 21-0 or something of that nature. And that's not
Catch.
looking at his record right now, but this is
Yeah.
going. Yeah, he's 21-1, so he has lost one fight. I need to look at one of the record spots to see who that was against, but he is a Ukrainian fighter who I imagine is a mandatory.
Interesting. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I'd imagine he's a mandatory, but yeah, he's going to be taking on 29-0 Jerron Ennis, and of course, Ennis is must see TV, and Jerron Ennis, pretty much every time he's on, he pretty much puts on a show when he's on live
Yeah.
TV boxing. And I for one, think he's certainly one of the best 147 pounders. I would put him probably at this point. I'm confident in saying he's number 3 right now. So I like his chances in there with Crawford and Spence. Will he win? Of course, we won't know until he's actually in there with them. But I certainly like his chances of having the capability. And of course, you never know. when that time comes and you're able to do what you need to do, you're able to step up and fight to the level of your competition, you can get it done.
Yeah, hopefully he just gets a fight against one of those top guys soon enough, because sometimes they kind of, they kind of grow old waiting for those fights, and then
Mhm.
they lost their prime. In the meantime, they get the fight and they are no longer, what they used to be. That's a big shame when that happens.
Yeah, Boots is 25 right now, so he's right there, ripe and
Yeah,
ready in
that's
that
good.
prime territory. So he's a problem for anyone. And
Oh,
IBF
yeah.
interim world welterweight title is on the line actually.
And
And
he also hits harder than Spence or Crawford. So, yeah, right.
okay, yeah. Hey, he's shown that he can put them together. Of course,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
but yeah, those two can punch as well. So
yeah, they can
who knows?
punch, but it's like not. They don't usually, get people out. Like Crawford now, what he did, he doesn't do very often when he played to Avanesian.
Yeah.
So
That Avenesian knockout was something nice for sure.
yeah, just the right timing, the perfect timing, and yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
indeed. So I'm looking at his name is Karen Chikadzian,
Yeah,
and he's Ukrainian as mentioned. He lost in his second fight back in 2015, but he has won all of his fights since then. Now, the majority of them have taken place in Ukraine. It looks like he's had two in Russia. Then his last four were in Germany. So I don't know what to expect. I might have to check out some stuff on YouTube to see if there is any fights out there where they're on YouTube. He does have a win over Ali Fanika, but it was in 2017, which is,
and all
of course,
ancient. Yeah, Ali Funny.
a 2017 version of Alu Fanika is certainly not.
he
Uh,
he wasn't himself already in what 2012 or something.
yeah. So he does have a name on his resume, Alu Fanika. Outside of that, there are a bunch of names that I'm not familiar with, but hey, he's here now. Ryan Martin. Actually, I am. Oh no, different Ryan Martin.
Oh yeah,
So no, I'm not familiar with him.
Ryan Martin. That sounds like a singer's name.
Yeah. So we'll see how he does in here, but I expect Ennis to put on. I expect him to showcase. I believe he's at least the way it's listed here on this particular site we're using, it's as though he may be the main or the co-main event. So this will be a good stage for him right here. And this will be Showtime pay-per-view. So I'd imagine he's gonna show up in top form. So
Pay per view, yeah.
yeah, pay-per-view. It seems cool for regular Showtime. That seems more ideal, but hey, all about the money, I guess you can say.
Yeah, pay per view.
No, crazy. No,
Yeah,
Rodolfo Rivera says the undercard is good too. Boots and Andre, right? Of course, yes, definitely Boots up in that thing. And then we do finally have the return of Demetrius
the
Andrade. So
return of the Mac.
Demetrius Andrade is finally back in the ring. It's going to be at super middleweight in the 10 rounder against my guy Damon the Best at it Nicholson. So this should be a pretty good one. Just overall, I will say that Andre, he has proven to be a very good fighter. He hasn't gotten those marquee chances in terms of huge names as of yet, but he has been in with some guys who have shown up anytime that he's fought them. For the most part, a number of them have at the very least. He's been out a while now, but I expect that he's going to come out and perform as he does now. Damon Nicholson, he's been in there with a number of guys who are name opponents in the sport. Of course, he
This is
lost to Edgar Berlanga,
yeah.
and he was the first one to take Berlanga the distance in This
I
was
believe he fought maybe Jared Hurdman, or I think, or somebody like that. I think he was
no. He didn't fight Jared Hurd, but he did.
154, right? For before
Yeah,
he
yeah,
fought
yeah. He
somebody
fought
else.
Jesse Hart. Jesse Hart
Oh
worked hard
yeah,
out of Philadelphia. He's been in with Steve Rolls and a number of others. But
all
yeah,
right.
he's been at the top. He's fought some of the top level opponents.
Oh yeah, I think
Uh,
I got him mixed up with somebody
yeah,
else.
yeah. Now this wouldn't be Andre's first fighter out of Maryland, this DMV area. So he did face Alantez Fox, who took him the distance. Uh,
Oh yeah,
and
that's
and
freakishly tall guy.
yeah, that was a few years ago. Yeah. Alantez Fox, a tall guy. Him and Demond
Yeah,
will
six
probably be
four.
similar in
Yeah,
size for sure. So I expect it to be a pretty solid fight. I expect Demond to push him, and we'll see what happens. We'll see how 168 looks on Demetrius Andre and
yeah.
whether
I
he
was gonna
can
say,
be successful.
yeah, that this is at 168, right? So that means he doesn't have the title anymore, which was at 160, right?
Yeah, there was a mandatory on the line at one point, and he ultimately ended up moving to 168 and not facing that mandatory. So, yeah,
You
he's
know what?
looking to wade those waters. I think he's looking for that Canelo fight, of course, but
Yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
just have to say this guy Damon Nicholson kind of reminds me of Marvin Gaye, the way he looks. So,
Hey, Marvin Gaye was from DC. Could there be a
yeah, right.
could there be some type of relation there? We'll have to find out. I'm gonna get him on the show. We gotta
I
get Demond
don't.
on the show so we can interview him. We'll find out if
Yeah.
he's related to Marvin Gaye for sure.
I think he's a little too young to be his son, but maybe a grandson. Who knows?
All right, cool. We'll definitely find out. Well,
Hmm.
yeah, good stuff. Then another good fight that is on this, and is actually probably a sleeper fight. It might be the sleeper fight of the event, and that's Rashidi Ellis. He's going to be taking on Roman Villa, who is a Colombian fighter. Now,
Oh yeah.
Villa is probably not a big name, and I've actually only seen him once, but I just so happened to be watching when he took on uh, Jenelson Boca Chica, and it was like an
Hmm.
action fight. It went the distance, but Villa had him at points where it looked like he was going to be out of there. And I think that Villa, he could prove to be a pretty good threat for Rashidi Ellis. So, especially in
Hmm.
those early rounds, if he comes out gunning the same way he did against Boca Chica, who was highly touted in terms of well, he's a prospect, I guess you could say, more so in that prospect stage, but he was looking to take that step up. And Villa proved to be a force for him. He had him down in round two, and he kept spitting out his mouth. It was mentioned that he deducted, or he was
Hmm.
deducted a point for spitting out his mouthpiece, but it was an action fight. And Villa, he's one of those
Chico.
Colombian fighters coming in. Of course, he had 24 victories at the time with 24 knockouts. So it was a question of, hey, is this guy legit? Is this just a record built up facing no one? And some would argue that probably was the case, but I think with the way he was able to take on Boca Chica and what he was able to do in that fight, I think he's going
Hmm.
to be legit for Rashidi Ellis. And that's a hey, I think Rashidi, he's shown that he can box. So I like him as the boxer in the fight, but I think it's a dangerous fight because Villa is a sleeper, and I think that he can cause some problems. He could upset the apple cart. I'm calling it here. That's a potential apple cart upsetter if
Hmm.
that's the thing.
Apple cart. Nice. Yeah, it seems like they are about. Well, Villa is a shorter fighter, but doesn't not buy that much really.
Yeah. So it's one to certainly watch for sure. There's a potential there, like I said, for
Hmm.
something pretty special. But Rashidi Ellis, I think he's very good. He's very solid, and he's just
And
looking for those big name opponents as well.
Usually, Colombian fighters are known as really good bangers, power punchers. Usually.
Oh yeah, yeah, they are. Yeah, yeah. You've had some over the years that's been their thing for sure.
Mhm.
So yeah, that rounds up that DC card. At least the main fights that'll probably be on the main televised or the main pay per view portion. Uh, Maybe some of these will, or the Ellis or Via, that could be one of the
Yeah.
prelim fights, excuse me, or something like that. I don't know for sure, but looking forward to it. I think it should be pretty interesting. But Rashidi Ellis, I'm calling it Rashidi Ellis versus Via. That might be the sleeper fight right there.
Hmm. Hope so. Rodolfo agrees with me on the Marvin Gaye lookalike resemblance.
Rodolfo Rivera says, "LOL, good eye, Boz. Good stuff."
Yes.
Shout out to Mr. Pads who says, "Big up Boz in '86. Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Mr.
Hey,
Pads. Appreciate you being in here." Hey,
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 Mr.
we're just here
Press.
talking boxing. It's good to have you in. Good seeing you again. Thank you for dropping by, showing love. It's truly appreciated. We're gonna be here, ready to discuss, ready to jump in the mix. So it's always good
Hmm.
to have you drop by. And yeah, more to come for sure. I'm sure we'll have more interactions as we go on. Of course, if you have any questions or anything, hey, we're ready to jump in on them. So we were just going over that DC card that is going to be taking place on Saturday. So that should be a pretty solid one, in actuality. So even though it's a pay per view, it should be pretty solid. We'll have to look into what the other fights are, but hey, looking forward to it. Uh,
Hmm.
then on the 13th, we actually have a. Also, this is the week after we have a female junior flyweight contest that's going to be taking place in the United
Hmm.
Kingdom, and this is going to be Kim Clavel going to be taking on Jessica Neri Plata. I wonder if there's any relation to Luis Neri, but
Hmm.
this is going to be a female fight that is going to be taking place. Clavel is 11-0. Plata is 21-1. She's from Mexico. Clavel is, of course, from the U.S., but this is going to be on ESPN Plus and Fight TV. So it's not going to be in the UK, as a matter of fact. It's going to
Hmm.
be in Canada. So that may be one worth checking out there. That's all I see on here, at least as far as what's the main fight. I don't know what the undercard holds, but
All
that
right.
Saturday, of course, there's going to be F.A. Ajagba, who is going to be taking on Rivas.
Hmm.
Can't think of Rivas's first name right now. What is Rivas's first name?
Oscar.
Oscar Rivas. Oscar Rivas. I know we were talking about that, and I thought that was gonna be a pretty solid fight. Of course, Oscar
Yeah,
Rivas is the
interesting.
champion, I guess, sort of champion emeritus, I guess you can say, at Bridger weight, the
Bridgerate.
WBC Bridger weight, which is up to 225 pounds. But the WBC, as far as I know, is the only one recognizing that Bridger weight. I think they were expecting the others to follow suit, and
Yeah, I
time will
think.
tell if that's the case. So far, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like. I also think that Alan Babbage is also gonna be back on to either heavyweight or maybe even cruiserweight. I don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Mm.
yeah, that should be interesting. Yeah, Babbitt would be in the mix, but Fa Ajagba is now going to be taking on, I believe it's Stephen Shaw, um,
Yeah, Stephen Shaw.
who is a heavyweight from the U.S. Of course, Fa Ajagba. He's Nigerian. He's a big puncher. He's the guy. For those that may not know, he is the
Mm.
guy that
Wow,
he
he's
was going to fight one time, and the opponent stepped out of the
he,
ring as soon as the bell was rung and just left.
he has a huge reach, 88 inches. Wow.
Holy crap! Is that correct?
Yeah, I
88
don't know.
inches.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying 85 here on
Well,
BoxRec.
here,
So
yeah, I don't know really. But here they also say 6'5", but BoxRec says 6'6".
yeah, I think sometimes those can get switched up a bit, but yeah, I mean I'd imagine somewhere between there 6'5" and 6'6". I think that's in the mix.
Yeah, like
I'm thinking
Primo
that
Carnera.
85-inch reach might
Yeah,
be more of the thing. And yeah, he looks like he has a pretty solid reach.
that was
And
Primo Carnera's height, 6'5.5".
yeah. Old Primo. Now, Stephen Shaw is actually undefeated. He's 18-0. I'm trying to think if I've seen him. I might have seen him. I see that he has Rydell Booker, Joey Dajeko. He also has, let me see, Gregory Corbin. He has a win over him. These are individuals I'm familiar with. I can't remember for sure if I've seen him, though. Jonathan Rice, he has a win over Jonathan Rice back in 2016. I know I didn't see that one. But his latest victory was against Rydell Booker in 2022. Of course, Rydell Booker is, I guess you could call him a journeyman at this point. He was fairly promising, and then he had to do a prison stint, and he came back in 2018. But
Oh, Shaw is undefeated at least, so
yeah. So I not recalling exactly what Shaw fight I've seen, if any, but I'm pretty sure I've likely seen at least one. Not recalling that, I'm gonna leave it up to actually seeing it real time to kind of get a glimpse of how the fight will turn out. But the one thing that I guess we can say we know for sure is Fa Ajagba is a big puncher and he can get guys out of there. That being said, if you're able to box and move the way that Frank Sanchez was able to do it, you have a chance. So I think Sanchez has shown us that we do have a chance, because there was thought that Fa Ajagba was going to be on this knockout streak all the way up until he got to title contention, essentially. But he can be outboxed if you go about it in a proper manner. And I think Frank Sanchez, of course, is a lot better than what some may know or think, or what meets the eye. He is pretty solid all around, and of course he comes from that background of boxing. Is he Cuban or Dominican? I believe he's Cuban. So
Cuban,
yeah. Anytime you're a Cuban fighter who reaches this world stage, then you're pretty much gonna have been seasoned on that amateur side without a doubt, and you're coming to the pros pretty solid. Once you get your feet under you to the pro style, they're usually pretty solid.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they have that school of boxing that is really pretty amazing, that whole style they have.
Yeah.
I mean,
Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says, yeah, unfortunately, Oscar Rivas retired too because of injuries. Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know he retired. Interesting.
Well, I don't know how old he is, but
imagine he's mid-30s, I want to say. Yeah, he's 35.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Wasn't he like kind of old already when he got the White fight, the Dillian White?
Yeah,
I mean, not old, but kind of old for a guy who you never seen or hardly heard of before.
Are you familiar with what his injuries were, or why he pulled out, Rodolfo, in terms of what injury it was? I knew it was something to do with that, and I didn't know he retired. So breaking news there. Thank you, Rodolfo Rivera. See, hey, that's why we like Rodolfo jumping in the mix, letting us know, keeping us on game. He's in the mix there. He knows his stuff. But well, hey, I got to see Oscar Rivas fight live once, and it was in, I believe, Verona, New York. He took on Bryant Jennings, Oscar Rivas versus Bryant Jennings.
Right.
And it was a pretty decent fight. And Oscar Rivas, of course, seeing him, I got the sense that, yeah, he was pretty solid. So I thought that Rivas is a pretty nice fighter for a heavyweights, of course. And he was big, good though. He's pretty good. Despite that look like he's just going to be some guy coming in winging it or whatever, he paces himself very well. He's a pretty solid heavyweight. And he would have made for some interesting fights had we got to see him with some of the other top guys, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to happen at this point.
Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah, he was a small heavyweight, one of few that are that can actually make some noise. Strong guy and very good, offensively dangerous. Yeah.
And I'm looking here now. So yeah, he fought
Put,
Jennings in 2019. It was in January. So yeah, I was out there for that. Then he lost to Dillian White, which is his only loss. And he hadn't fought. He didn't fight in 2020, and he fought twice in 2021, but he didn't fight at all last year. So I guess there were signs of something going on as far as activity, which of course when it comes to some fighters these days, activity is one of those things where some of them they only fight once a year.
yeah,
But that being said, hey, if this is it, then yeah, I think he did pretty decent in terms of being able to get on a formidable stage. He was on ESPN, I believe that was ESPN, because it was top rank. I know that it was top rank when I was out there. So hey, and he had a name that was in the mix there at heavyweight. But uh, yeah, I guess we'll see what's in store for the future with him as far as if things take a turn for the better. But
yeah,
Rodolfo also says Stephen Shaw is solid, so good to go. So that should be a good one. Oh, okay. Rodolfo Rivera says that is the
oh, yeah.
detached retina. Yeah, those can always be career threatening and ending, even if you have just one. So
Indeed, yeah.
pretty miraculous. Some guys are able to come back from it. Some guys are. I imagine none of them are ever the same, but some guys are able to continue boxing. I mean, has Billy Joe Saunders been back since the whole situation? I know his orbital bone was broken. I can't remember the
I
rest of
don't
it.
think so. I haven't heard anything about it.
But yeah,
Um,
anytime you have those eye injuries, yeah, they really affect you.
yeah,
I know we were talking about Kell Brook. He was never the same after his.
you're right. Yeah. Well, all right. Which file was that? Was it Triple G, maybe?
Yeah, it was the Triple G fight. Yep.
Right. It
Yep.
was a very, very bad decision to take that fight, definitely.
Yeah, certainly. So two broken orbital bones. Yeah, Billy Joe Saunders, he's 33, and yeah, that was his last fight, that Canelo fight, and that was May of 2021. So who knows if he's going to be coming back at this point. So, so yeah, he may not be coming back. As a matter of fact, given the
Yeah,
extent,
it
but yeah,
doesn't look like it, and he's
yeah,
now been away for some time from the ring, and
yeah.
would
Those
have,
detached retinas are no joke. That's what happened to
yeah,
Abner Mares. Even though he fought in 2022, but you could visibly see his eye, at least prior to him fighting. Of course, when he was on while he's on Showtime, you could see that his eye is it looks different. Of course, because he had a detached retina. That's why he
mm,
always wears these sunglasses of some type. And I thought it was pretty interesting that he's trying to make that comeback. But some guys they still want it, even if their eye is jacked up.
yeah, yeah. That's such a great urge they have to return. Sometimes they will ignore all kinds of injuries and yeah
Yeah.
issues.
So on the undercard of this Ajak Bashar fight, we're gonna have Vianello versus Jonathan Rice. Vianello, he's this Italian
Yes,
heavyweight.
that's a guy that have wanted to talk actually about because so
Yeah,
far he has been kind of looking good. Even
I
though
saw him against someone. He struggled. I'm trying to think
yeah,
who that.
even though he hasn't really beaten anyone of note yet, but he
Yeah,
does have quite. I mean, it's 10-0-1, right? That's I
yeah.
didn't
So he
know.
fought Kingsley eBay. It was a draw, and this was in 2020. It was on Top Rank, I'd imagine. Yeah, it was in the
Right.
bubble. Now I felt that he lost that fight, and eBay got kind of shafted in the sense that he walked away with a draw when it seemed that he should have won that fight. It was only a 6 rounder. And of course, Vianello, I mean, he has a base there, I believe, in Italy. So he is more of of course, more of the guy that was being pushed as, hey, one of the next top prospects or whatever. But that's where I recall. I remember him struggling in that fight. And yeah, I
That
did
was
think that he lost.
6 round fight. I see it now. Yeah.
Yeah, he escaped out of there with a draw. I would say
He
that.
was lucky that it was a 6 rounder, not
Yeah, yeah,
10.
he was. He was very much lucky. If you haven't checked that out, there's one worth checking out. You'll have some action in there. Some two heavyweights. It was a top ranked card in the bubble. I remember the top ranked bubble. It was pretty cool.
He didn't
So
do too well at the Olympics in 2016. He went out in the first round, but it
mm,
doesn't necessarily have to mean much. There have been quite many boxers who weren't that successful in the amateurs, but who were successful in the pros.
yeah, he's got nice size to him. Yeah, I recall he has a pretty decent jab.
Yeah,
Of
big
course.
guy, six
Yeah, yeah.
six. Mm.
But yeah, that showed me though, from a competition perspective, yeah, he's gonna have to continue to hone his game, especially if he's trying to move it up and make some waves, because that size alone won't do it for him. But if he continues to polish himself, then we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Rodolfo
Yeah, it
Rivera
doesn't.
says, yeah, Billy Joe Saunders hasn't returned. I remember seeing a 3D model of his injured face, and he's got to get several screws on the side of his face. Ooh. Yeah, that sucks.
Ouch. Yeah, that couldn't have been pleasant at all.
Yeah, that might be it. Yeah, I remember the shot that he got hit with. He kind of ducked into it. Well, he was getting hit with a
Yeah, it
lot of
was
them, but yeah,
somehow on the side, right? Yeah,
yeah, he was getting hit with a lot of them, but he was ducking right into those hooks from a kind of uppercutish like hook from Canelo. It was really coming upward, and
it's scary.
just hit
Scary
him
what
wide.
can happen in a fight in boxing, really.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was yeah, it was one of those. Some people were really giving him some heat as well for stopping the fight or not continuing on. But
Yeah,
hey,
because he did do well, before that in the fight, but he had started to take some punishment,
yeah, some
as
people are
far as
willing
I
to lose
understand.
their eye, some people aren't. I can tell you right
Yeah,
now, at least me thinking about it right now, yeah, I don't know that I'm willing to lose my eye. But that being said,
no,
I guess you have to be there in the moment, and if that was my profession, I guess it would all depend. But I'm thinking,
yeah.
no, I don't think I would want to lose my eye.
That's why I don't like when people criticize people who don't fight, or have never fought. They kind of criticize a fighter for quitting after an injury, like, or he could have gone on, he's a quitter, it's like, come on, man. Have you ever been there in the ring? You don't know
Yeah,
how it feels. I mean, if he went on, he could have, they should be happy that he quit in time, at
yeah,
least, could have been
yeah,
seriously injured. Yeah,
yeah. And in seeing some of or in being on the amateur side, being in the ring and seeing some of these matchups, and of course we have the headgear on. You can just see that, yeah, some individuals, yeah, they just aren't built for taking that type of stuff or that type of
yeah.
punishment. Some can take a shot
Some
and
can take
eat
it
it.
forever. Like,
There are even some amateurs like that. It's like literally you could seemingly hit them with a kitchen sink and he'll still just be there, even though they're
mm,
losing pretty much all
you
facets of
know,
the fight.
they say it's good to have a short neck. So I think I would have been able to take pretty
Hey,
much a lot
it's
of.
not too late. Let's make it
Yeah.
happen.
Well, it would have been kind of late, but anyway, not. I wouldn't have been the oldest guy making a pro debut. That guy who was in jail, and he was like 53 or 4 when he finally had his only
Oh
fight.
yeah. Oh yeah. I remember that. I don't remember who the guy was, but I remember what you're talking about though.
And he looked good. Everybody was so impressed. He won that fight and everything. But
Yeah. That's
what
good
a
to go.
sad story. He maybe could have been a champion if he didn't go to jail, right?
Yeah, sometimes sometimes it's like that, but sometimes some
Yeah,
want to just kind of get that get that fight in, even if they may have been thinking about it and they gone through it. I remember going to a local show, pro show here, and there was a fighter who ended up making his debut. It was locally here, but he was probably mid 40s or something like that, and he had a pretty good showing. He was in shape and everything. He ended up losing, but you could tell he worked hard to get to that point and everything, and he gave it his all in there. I don't know if he fought
Yeah,
again or what, but hey, that one fight, he did it as a pro.
yeah, that's right.
So in other words, Boz, it's never too late.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was kind of 12, 30, 13, maybe, I just dreamt about being a boxer. Yeah, that's right. That's because I had watched too many Rocky movies.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Those can be fairly inspiring.
Yeah.
So Saturday, January 21st, we have Chris Eubank Jr. taking on Liam Beefy Smith.
Oh,
Am I right?
nice.
Beefy or Chunky?
Yeah, beefy. That's right. Even though I don't know where he got that name from. It doesn't look so beefy to me.
Yeah. So Liam Beefy Smith taking on Chris Eubank Jr. And this is going to be a middleweight fight, 12-rounder. It's going to be taking place at Manchester Arena. This will be Eubank's return since potentially fighting Conor Benn in what I thought was going to be a mismatch as far as all of the fight sort of press, all of the
Yeah.
media, the sort of structure of the fight, the weight, everything just seemed to be not in his favor. That's one of the things I was sharing leading into that fight. I was thinking that Ben was going to win because it just seemed like everything was geared towards this being Conor Benn's showcase and coming out party in a sense. His first in his like huge fight there, his first major fight because they had a lot of fanfare behind it and everything. And of course, we all know what happened. But this probably is the
Yeah.
better path here for Chris Eubank Jr. See how it looks against a streaking Liam Smith, who has been on a pretty decent run as of late, knocked off Anthony Fowler, Jesse Vargas, and he looks to be in good form since that Canelo loss. I think that he's grown since then. He looks a lot better, and I think that were this version of him taking on Canelo, he still would have lost, but I think the stage wouldn't have been as big for him or too big for him, which I felt was the case in that fight with Canelo. It's just a big atmosphere for him there, Dallas Stadium. He wasn't really a known commodity, and of course,
Yeah.
he ended up being stopped in that fight.
It was too soon, too much too soon.
Happy New Year, Facebook user. I appreciate it. Thank you. Happy New Year to you. Appreciate you being here. It's always good. I had to head over to Facebook to figure out who it is. Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says Liam Smith is a pretty good replacement for Conor Benn. Indeed. This is a better fight. And Chris Eubank Jr. doesn't have to come down 3 additional pounds. And he gets to fight at the middleweight limit. It's always tricky with those catch weight, especially when you have a guy who hasn't been been 3 pounds below his natural fighting weight in forever. I can't remember. He might have started. Did he start at 160 or 154? Let me see.
Who?
Chris Eubank Jr.
I think at 160.
Okay, so yeah, I just think it would have been pretty crazy if the way I feel. I always feel in the catch weight fights, if just like the old days, if you want to fight at middleweight, fight at middleweight.
Yeah, that's true, of course.
I mean, the guys back, there were catch weights and things back in the day and all that stuff, but you think about it, now you have these extra weight divisions in between the original weight divisions, so throw catch weights on top of that, I think sometimes it gets a little bit crazy, Canelo's that's been the case with Canelo fighting at 155 pounds, when with that 1 extra pound right there. I mean, if you can't make that 1 extra pound, then hey, fight at 160,
Yeah, that's right. Of
Seems
course.
like that might be more natural for you.
Yeah, it's just nonsense, of course. But unfortunately, today it's possible. It wouldn't be possible 30 or 40 years ago.
All right, it's the boxing librarian. Hey, BL, boxing librarian. Thanks for dropping in. That's who the user is. Hey, we appreciate you being here without a doubt. Uh, those listening, be sure to go follow Hardline Boxing Talk. If you want to know about the history of the sport, all of the statistics, ratings going back to at least 1890, then this is the channel to follow. Hardline Boxing Talk, the Boxing Librarian, and also check out the boxinglibrarian.com. As a matter of fact, uh, I just did a video. As a matter of fact, and hello there, Joshua. Big hello to your co-host. Thank you, thank you. But yes, I just did a video. It was how would John L. Sullivan fare against the top 8 ring heavyweights of 2023. Now, really,
Yeah,
it's 9 because when I initially was recording it, I was saying top 8, but Alexander Usyk isn't counted as like one of the 8 because he's a ring champion. That being said, it's really 9 fighters, but it's the champ with the top 8 heavyweights. So it goes from Usyk to Parker, who is currently number 8, and of course, John L. Sullivan, he was from a time without ratings, but the boxing librarian actually has done ratings, and that's included in the video. So be sure to check out that video and shout it out. Put the boxing librarian on there as well, theboxinglibrarian.com. That was a source for those ratings, so it's definitely worthwhile to check out. And the site, of course, is continuing to develop with all of this statistics for the fighters dating way back to the earlier years. So if you're into that part of history, definitely worth a shout. And Rodolfo Rivera says, shout out BL. And also, BL says, I'll watch for sure. I think it sounds like a great video. Yes, indeed. Appreciate it. Hey, it's always respect, always flattering. Appreciate having you there. And having you check it out, having you here. So it's definitely a good thing. And yeah, more to come. The first show of 2023. So appreciate you all being here. Indeed. So I wanted to mention also Canelo's future opponent, Makabu, is going to actually be fighting. I guess he's no longer
yeah.
waiting on Canelo. He's going to have a tune-up fight before he fights Canelo, or an interim fight before he and Canelo clash at some point. But Makabu is finally returning back to the ring.
That's
He's taking on a German fighter. I don't think I've seen this German cruiserweight.
Well, yeah, it's actually this guy used to be he went by the last name Gevor, but now he's like
Noel Gever.
Yeah, because he's actually the stepson of Coran Gevor, but he now uses his real father's last name, I think. Mikhail.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, he's going to be taking on Makabu, who hasn't fought in a while. I do recall he hasn't fought in a while. So this guy has actually, you know what? He's been in with Marius Briedis and Christoph
Lovatsky, was it?
No, it's not that one. I'm gonna jack his name up. Oh no, you might have got it. What did you say?
Vlodarchik.
Yeah, not him. It's another Christoph. This is Lodarchik, or something like that. WLODAR.
That's the one, Vlodarchik.
Oh, Lodarchik. Okay. Yeah, you good. I was thinking of Govaki, Christoph Govaki.
Well, yeah,
that's the Christoph I knew for sure.
Yeah, he was. Well, you can see that he's. He and Corin are not blood related because Corin is a much shorter guy, first of all, than Noel, and they don't look alike either. So
yeah. Good to go.
He was a junior middleweight, I believe, first Corin. Yeah.
Hey, but he's experienced 61-4, 61-4-1, 41 knockouts. So he's very experienced.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah, he's actually he was working as a trainer, but I heard he actually now returned again to the ring. No, Corin.
Yo, okay. And looking at his face, I thought I had seen him before. Maybe I have seen him. He's taking. I know. I see he fought
So that's
Murat
kind of weird
Gassiev.
because I believe he's already like well past 40 anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, that guy fought Murat Gassiev. But yeah,
Hmm.
anyway, Noel is going to be taking on Makabu, WBC World Cruiserweight title on the line.
Yeah.
And this is a good opportunity because Makabu hasn't fought in over a year, if I'm not mistaken. Oh,
Hmm.
we're going to a year. As a matter of fact, I forgot he got that fight in. He got that fight in with Tobias Munchunu, I believe it is, or Chunu, something of that nature. He got
Yeah, the
that fight
guy
in at the
from
beginning of 2022.
South Africa, yeah, the
Yeah,
Tabiso Machun, yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it's yeah, it is Corin Gewer I was talking about. He has
Okay,
returned
Corin
to the
Giver.
ring. I don't know really why, but
Yeah, I knew the. Hey, BL knows. Yeah. I don't know him. I don't know him,
no,
but
he was like pretty solid middleweight, but he never, he lost all the biggest fights he had.
okay.
Arthur Abraham and Felix Sturm.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Two sort of big timers there in Germany.
Yeah. But I heard that I didn't see the Sturm fight, but somebody was saying back then. I remember that Gewer was robbed there. I don't know if he really
It
was,
was
but
hard to beat Sturm in Germany.
yeah, he actually comes originally from the same country as that I do, as I do. Actually, Bosnia Herzegovina.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
from the Herzegovina part.
Okay. Good stuff. I want to get out there one day to visit. I know you were there
Yeah,
not too long ago, right? Was that last year? That was last year, right?
who?
You.
Oh
You were in
yeah, yeah. I
Bosnia.
was there
Yeah.
last year. Yeah, in Boston.
Okay,
Yeah,
you. This, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to get
Not
out
you.
there. I want to
You
try the
were.
food and everything.
Yeah, well, you were not so far away from there. Anyway, once, right? You were in
Kosovo,
Kosovo. Yeah.
Kosovo. And I went to Albania and Montenegro.
Yeah, Montenegro, that's the one that borders Bosnia.
Okay, yeah, cool. So we were right there. We were right
Yeah.
there. Bosnia. I got to get there at some point. We actually enjoyed that. The food was great and everything.
Yeah.
Our kind of taste right
Everybody
there.
says that about
Certainly,
especially but if you go to Boston you will be amazed. I tell you how good the food is really. I mean everybody says that.
I
Our
believe it.
food our food is the best. It's not just bragging.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it for sure. So
Go to Sarajevo especially, Mm.
cool. Yeah, I'm gonna let you know. That's something that's on the list for sure at some point.
Mm.
Who knows when, but at some point. At
Yeah.
some point.
Felix Sturm, his real name, well, doesn't matter. It's not his real name, Anyway,
Oh yeah. Gotcha. Cool. That's
Adnan
good stuff though.
Čatic,
But
that's his real
he had
name.
a decent career. Decent career.
Yeah. Now I heard that he had some trouble recently with the taxes, some stuff like that. He
Uh,
was like he was chased by the how do you call that, the guys
yeah.
from the tax office.
Yeah.
You have a nickname for them. The fox, that's the police, I guess.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, it's like that. Imagine, I like it. Yeah, the IRS here, well, we call them for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will come after you for sure. They will do that.
And German IRS, I imagine, are no not much better.
When
No.
you least expect it. Unfortunate
Yeah.
though. Sturm had a
Mm.
pretty long career.
Yeah, and then he also kind of had a run at 168 for a while. That
Yeah.
was,
So
yeah.
interesting.
Mm.
Well, two more fights or two more events, I guess you can say, in 2020. Oh yeah, besides the Makabu and Gever fight, of course, that should be an interesting one. I'm gonna try to catch it if it's
Yeah.
available.
Yeah, I was like when I first saw it, Michaelian, who is that? And then I
Yeah.
saw that that's actually in oil. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, interesting. It's good stuff though. So
mm.
on the 27th of January, we're going to see a fight that is headlined by a Ukrainian fighter, last name Bohachuk. I feel
Bohachuk,
like I
yeah.
just saw him beat someone. I need to find out who it
Sergey
was.
Bohachuk, I believe. Yeah,
But he's
that's
taking
right.
on Nathaniel Gallimore, who
Mm.
is, I mean, getting towards that journeyman stage. Well, he
He
just
has
hasn't been
been,
successful as of late.
yeah, he has been stopped once, but that's his only loss so far.
Oh yeah.
Bohachuk. He does seem. I don't know who stopped him, but let's see.
Oh
Let's
yeah, it
find
was
out.
Brandon Adams. I remember seeing that. It was actually on
All right.
the it was on Freddie Roach's, there was this series called the Wild Card Boxing Series or something of that nature.
All
Freddie
right.
Roach, it was like at Wild Card Gym. They were doing this during COVID and
All
when
right.
everything's in a bubble. So he was on there. He lost to Brendan Adams, who was on the Contender, this second iteration of Contender. He
So that was, yeah.
yeah,
You
he
see,
won that second iteration of the Contender or whatever iteration it was. But Brandon Adams won that, and he actually fought Jamal Charlo, I believe it was. Yeah, Jamal Charlo. So that's who he was stopped by, and that was a good fight. And I think the expectation was that Bohachuk or whatever was going to win it, but Brandon Adams, he was like, "Not so fast, my friend. Experience comes into play here."
yeah, I know. All of his wins are by knockout so far, actually. So he has to be a puncher, obviously. So maybe it was
Yeah,
that.
I knew I
I
had seen him, so I haven't seen him since then, actually. So that was in 2021. So,
You know what happens when a puncher fails to put away his opponent? He gets stopped himself. Usually, that's
yeah,
how it
yeah.
goes.
Hey, you gotta get him out of there when you have the opportunity. In this case,
Yeah,
I don't think just recalling the fight from what I'm thinking about. I feel like Brendan Adams, he was game the entire time, and this Bohachuk, or he never could quite get his stuff set in a way that
mm.
troubled Brendan Adams, who is, you can say he's like a sort of B fighter. He's like a
Yeah,
B
obviously.
fighter, I guess you can say. He's
Yeah,
not bad. He's not that elite, but he can be in the mix and hang in there, of course.
yeah. It's
But
not someone
yeah,
you can take it easy against, right?
yeah, no, certainly not. So he's a good opponent for, yeah. If you think your prospect is ready, throw him in there with Brendan Adams. Hey, they have a potential of winning, but you never know. And this was the case.
Yeah.
So he's going to be taking on Nathaniel Gallimore, who I think is probably going to be more of a fight for him. And I think that Bohachuk, if I'm saying his name right, but I think he's going to win only because I just feel like with Nathaniel Gallimore, if you really look at him over the last several fights or whatever, he's in that kind of stage where he takes a good deal of punishment, and I think there's a lot of wear and tear there in his last
Yeah,
several fights.
he's 34 also now.
In his
Says here.
last fight, he was pretty much dominated the entire fight, and he
Hmm.
lost the 10-round decision, but it
Yeah,
wasn't
he had
pretty.
some good fights before, but that was a few years ago.
Yeah, Mr. Pad says, "Hey, Mr. Boz, how did you meet? If you don't mind me asking, you two have a very good chemistry together, and you know your boxing history." Oh yeah. How did we meet? Oh,
I
Boz.
think
I
you,
recall
yeah, you
Facebook,
are,
right?
yeah. I think you joined my group,
Yeah.
boxing, even first.
Victorian Greyjoy.
Yeah,
Your little
that's
Victorian
the one.
Greyjoy picture or
Yeah.
whatever. And then and actually Boz, so I had done like on my YouTube before I started really focusing on YouTube. I had done a couple of little podcast videos by myself. Some of them are hidden now. I don't even have them out there. There may be like one, but I had done a couple, but that was really it. But I had never really done any like YouTube style podcast via video. And Boz was like, "Hey, you want to do it? You want to talk about the fights one day?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And sometimes people say that and they never do it, but I was like, you know what? I said I was gonna do it, so I had to do it. And,
we started first on doing these live chats in the group, in my group, so that.
Well, this
then you kind of told me about this podcast, and he invited me to join.
So this would have been what, maybe 2020 or something like that.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah, that's for sure. I don't not recall exactly when.
Yeah. Somewhere around there. Mr.
springtime, maybe. I don't know, something like that.
So we've done a number of them at this point, and so if we kind of go with the flow, we kind of have the flow down just from doing them, and hey, it works out. Then we're like, hey, we're just gonna do it. I was like, hey, Bob, you want to do it every week? And then he was down, and it was like, let's do it. Let's make it happen. We're calling it Boxing Chit.
Yeah, I mean, we share the same kind of love for this sport. Of course, that's very important. It's not just to meet up. It's of course it's very nice to meet up to talk. It's in itself, and interact with you guys. But if you don't really have a burning passion for boxing, you eventually get tired of it, right? You get bored. So.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. So, it's good. And Boz, he's all about the history as well. So he knows his history stuff. As a matter of fact, I've enjoyed the history. When I started digging into it, I was kind of focusing, and I still do kind of focus on the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Stuff. Ancient boxing history.
We call it ancient. But Boz knows everything, like the 70s, 80s, 90s, more so than I. Certainly. I know, of course, some of the bigger fighters and all that stuff, but he's always throwing out some boxers, and I'm like, who? Who was that?
The golden age of boxing, that was.
That was the 1920s, too.
Well, anyway, they had also, you had the golden ages, several of them.
Yeah, they always come and go, right?
I think the 30s were very strong also.
30s
strong decade. Especially for the heavyweights, but also some other positions.
Then, you have 40s and 50s with some of the lower weights, around middleweight and all that stuff. And you had Sugar Ray Robinson and all of them out there, and all within the same weight area. A lot of great fighters.
I love discovering these fighters that were really good, but nobody almost heard of these guys because, maybe they were fighting when there was a war going on, stuff like that, Second World War.
That's crazy. Yeah, you had some, they went off to war and then they jumped back in the mix, it was one of those.
Yeah, and you see, this guy was the ring fighter of the year. I was like, what? Who is he? Like, never heard of him before. Like, Gus Lesnovich, for instance, that was a big surprise when I found out.
I didn't know he was a fighter of the year, but I know that I knew of him, and I've seen highlights and different things, probably some fights over the course of stuff. But a matter of fact, when we were last doing the podcast, whenever I think we did it a couple of weeks ago, or maybe we did one last week, right? Yeah, we did one last week. So I know that after we were talking about Freddie Mills, I watched Gus Lesnovich versus Freddie Mills, and Lesnovich was handing it to him. Freddie Mills was eating a lot of big shots, and I thought he was about to go out. I don't think I had seen that one. I thought he was about to go out in the first round and the second round, but he somehow withheld, and he ended up being stopped later on. But man, he took some shots. Lesnovich put his punches together very well. It was like, man, he was catching them so clean.
Yeah, he was just a strong guy, and he could punch and put his, as you said, punches together well. And yeah, he was not a polished guy. I mean, but he lost to Billy Conn twice, but
Oh yeah.
he still kind of shook him a few times also.
Yeah, I need to
But
check out more of Gus, old Gus Lesovich, but I know his name is come up
yeah,
often.
I mean, many people have heard of Billy Conn, right? Especially
Yeah,
since he
yeah.
fought Joe Louis, nearly beat him. But
Yeah, that's probably his most popular fight, even though he was in with a
yeah,
lot of guys, but that definitely has to be the most popular.
mm, that's right.
He almost shocked the world that night.
Tall, yeah, he was so lanky, tall for a light heavyweight, but never really a heavyweight. So he was,
Yeah, yeah. Hey, those guys, they didn't mind jumping up there to heavyweight, straight from light heavyweight to
yeah,
heavyweight. Of course, he didn't have any other choice, but
yeah. I
they didn't
mean,
care.
as you say, I watched this. I don't know who it was about, documentary about light heavyweight champion, and they say it was like before this guy was champion a long time ago, and they say it was like being the vice president of USA. Like, nobody knew, nobody was so interested about in them outside the biggest boxing fans.
Yeah,
So, but everybody knew who the heavyweight champion was.
certainly, certainly. Yeah, I always say that in a lot of videos I make. I say heavyweight is the marquee division in boxing. We've had some down years and downturns in the U.S., of course, but that being said, when there's a top level heavyweight, the heavyweights they run the sport, and
Yeah,
that's essentially the case with Tyson Fury being.
yeah, the
Hey,
big
look at what he's
money.
able to generate now. Canelo, of course, is still up
That's
there, the top dog, but Fury is he packs the house as well.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing. The big money will always be in the heavyweight division. Nobody else can generate that much money or interest
Yeah,
worldwide. It doesn't. It's not fair, of course, because you have
yeah,
guys like obviously Mayweather, Pacquiao, Marquette, all those great boxers. But they still never could bring that much interest or money.
yeah, yeah. They carried it for a little bit. There was a
Even
lull
though,
there.
yeah,
There
Floyd
was
did kind of well, of course.
Yeah,
But
he had his run as the top dog there. Him and Manny Pacquiao, they were high generating. Now they were
yeah,
able to do some good things, but that was really the heavyweight scene was pretty much in limbo, and it had to develop,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
eventually
That's the
developed.
thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that like
Now
I
Vladimir
think.
Klitschko was out there.
Yeah,
The
he
Klitschko's
was.
were dominating, but they
Yeah, he
weren't.
was still the
Yeah,
champion when that fight happened, I believe. But
yeah.
shortly thereafter, he lost to Fury. Yeah,
But yeah, during their run, I know that I feel like people knew them. Of course, if you think about just the casual or average fan, they probably knew of them, but probably didn't know how to pronounce their names.
yeah, yeah,
So it's one of those dynamics going for them. But they would sell out O2, or at least Vlad would sell out O2. I remember whenever he would fight over there, it'd be a big event,
oh
and
yeah.
America just had a bunch of
And,
heavyweight hopefuls who weren't quite boxers who were polished from the jump, that they were throwing out
yeah,
there in the mix. Some of them had, that amateur experience and all that stuff. But yeah, we
mm,
just had such a lull. We didn't have any marquee boxer. I remember when they were pushing Seth Mitchell, football player turned
yeah.
heavyweight boxer. They were expecting him. Oh, he's going to make some noise, but no.
No, it turned out to be just too chinny and not good enough. But yeah, I mean, the heavyweights haven't been the same since the time of Lennox Lewis, and of course,
Yeah.
when he retired and Tyson retired and Holyfield, well, he kind of
Well,
hung
yeah,
on
he was
for a
going. He
while.
should have retired, but
Yeah, he should have retired because he was nowhere near his old self. But
yeah.
he was so stubborn, real deal. I no way I'm quitting, man. I'm a Superman.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I always wondered when Lennox retired because he was still, he was still the guy. I always wondered, hey,
yeah.
is this just a temporary thing? But man, he didn't come back.
Yeah, his career was quite extraordinary, I would say, because before
Yeah,
he hooked up with Manny Stewart. I don't think he would have, if he never had him as his trainer, he would have never gone so far. I believe
yeah.
because in those earlier fights, he didn't show that same kind of quality. He was knocked out by Oliver McCall in 2 rounds after all.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. And
shout
then
out to Oliver, Atomic
Oliver,
Bull.
Oliver McCall, yeah, he had some lackluster performances
Yeah,
at times. The same thing
but
happened with Hakeem Rothman. He just
when he was on, he was dangerous, man. He
yeah,
was had
and and he had,
everything.
I know in the '90s, for sure, he was he had some decent speed as well. More than what
Yeah.
meets the eye. So he was fairly quicker than I think people probably give him credit for.
Mm.
Rodolfo Rivera, I remember hearing about Vlad versus David Hay as an elementary school kid because of YouTube. All right, good stuff. I remember
Yeah.
thinking, oh, so Vlad is the top heavyweight today? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You just brought up one that turned out to be a dud right there.
Yeah, he was. That was in 2011. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, David Hay did a great job of hyping himself up and
Yeah.
getting to that fight, of course, but the performance, of course, left a lot to
Then
be desired.
he blamed everything on a broken toe. Come on, man.
I wish we would have gotten that David Hay that showed up against Tony Bellew, who was pretty much injured and past it, sort of.
Yeah, that was just a sad fight, both of them.
Yeah, because there was a lot of hype around it, and I know there was
And he,
some thought
he
that David Hay would
also,
give him some problems too, which he
yeah, the worst thing was when he pulled up out of the Fury fight. That was supposed to happen. I think sometime 2013, 14. I don't know, something like
I guess I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, the build up turned out to be better than the performance.
so
Indeed.
dramatic.
Indeed, it was good. It was good build up though. I do think it was pretty solid. He did a good job there for sure.
He let everyone wait for him when before he got out finally of the dressing room. That was like,
Yeah,
everybody was like, "What's happening now? Is he gonna come out or?"
yeah, yeah, yeah. So what could have been? What could have been? A fight I always wanted to see was Nikolai Valuev.
Valuev, yeah.
Valuev. I wanted to see him and Vladimir Klitschko because I feel like if anyone was going to be the one to take the big giant out, put
Yeah,
him on his back,
right.
it was going to be Vlad. But of course, I feel like Valuev didn't want that fight.
No, I don't think so. He knew that he would probably get, a thrashing at least, if not get knocked out, probably even that. But
Yeah, man, I
yeah,
wanted to see that fight. A 7-footer against a 6'6",
yeah,
nearly
he
six
was
sevener.
just, yeah, he was just chasing the WBA title, but he wouldn't fight Klitschko, no way. And
Yeah.
in the end, yeah, hey, kind of. Even hey, in the last round of that fight, he kind of had him wobbling and
Oh yeah, yeah, I
wondering.
remember that. It was funny. He did. So I can only imagine if he would have caught that Vlad left hook, what would
Yeah,
have
that
happened.
was. Yeah, that's just would have been fun to watch
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
him
think it
cut
was. That's
down.
what's so intriguing about it. Seeing
Yeah,
a 7-footer. I don't know. I don't recall seeing another 7-footer anytime.
no,
So
not in the boxing ring.
that would have been cool. I did a video on this guy Gogia Mitu, who was a pro back in
Yeah,
the day. I forget what year it was. It might have been the 30s, but he 7'4". Now there were reports of him being 8'1" and craziness like that. Well, I'm sure he wasn't 8'1". I couldn't find anything. It was even mentioned in the newspapers. Some newspaper article mentioned him as being 8 foot plus or
yeah.
something like that. But I think that
I
was
think,
exaggerated. He had a lot of heights from what I
yeah,
gathered.
I think I saw it somewhere. It says he was 7 6'7" something.
Yeah, you would see all that. I saw stuff
Yeah.
that ranged. I think I may have mentioned it in the video. I saw stuff that maybe range from like 7'1" to the 8'6" or some craziness like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
no
they
way.
really, yeah, they like to exaggerate in those days. Everybody was unnormally tall, was like
But yeah,
made
based on what I was able
into
to gather, it seems that 7'4" was probably more of the realistic range of where he was.
yeah.
And he had four
It
pro fights, three or four.
was like with that wrestler Andre the Giant. They had him
Oh yeah,
billed as 7'4", but it actually turns out he was like 6'10" or
yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. I know he wasn't yeah, as big,
Yeah,
but he was a big dude just in
yeah,
mass wise,
huge.
which added to it. So you could certainly sell it for sure. You
Yeah,
could certainly sell it. Um, but yeah, to go give me to he lost an exhibition to the Leaperville Shadow George Godfrey,
yeah,
who
yeah,
was 6'2.5", somewhere in there, 6'2"
yeah.
ish, and he was able to take him out. I wish there was video, or at least I don't recall seeing video. I don't know if it was recorded or what. But all of Me Too's fights, I believe, were in Belarus, so
Hmm.
that's where he was fighting out of.
Belarus, all right.
Rodolfo
Interesting.
Rivera says, yeah, Valuev and Jarrell Miller are two biggest heavyweights in terms of weight in the modern day. Oh, yeah, Jarrell Miller, yeah, I know he at times came in over 300 pounds, even though he's like
Yeah,
6'3", maybe more, even 6'2" ish. So he's probably between 6'2" and 6'3". So he's like a football lineman or some type, you know?
yeah, yeah. That's right.
And then not only that, for him to pop on multiple tests is crazy.
Yeah, he's just too big for his own good. Yeah, simply as too heavy. I mean,
Yeah, Paulo Malignaggi said that he used to see Jarrell Miller in the gym in New York or whatever, and he was like, okay, yeah, he knew him from there. And then he said when he saw him up there like getting his marquee fights and about to fight Joshua and all this stuff, like, oh wow, oh Gerald, like how did he get here or whatever, you know? Well, we found out why or how at least.
yeah,
I think he fought last year, right?
yeah. I don't know, man. Did he? Hmm.
I believe he did. Yeah, he fought. Oh, as a matter of fact, he fought twice, and he's about to fight.
Hmm.
Oh no, there's a fight listed on December 16th as well. But yeah, he's. I think he's squandered all of his major TV chances. So,
Right.
and there's a
Yeah. I
new
mean,
big baby in town. Anyways, the real big baby, Jared Anderson.
yeah. He and I think he and hope he can behave better
Yeah,
than
yeah,
Miller. Yeah.
certainly. Jared Anderson versus Filip Hrgovic. That could be a good one. Yeah. He
Oh
called out
yeah.
Hrgovic. 2023. Can we get it? Jared Anderson versus Filip Hrgovic.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed. I mean, it's not like Hrgovic looked bad in his last fight, but he just didn't really impress. But he did get injured, like he was cut like on the
Yeah.
head.
Hey,
So
there it was close. He fought the Big Bang, James
yeah,
Gillette, and yeah, James Gillette. People thought that James Gillette was about to get taken out, but Gillette showed that hey,
he's a beast, man. I
maybe
mean,
37. I think he's probably 38 now.
he
Yeah,
took
but
all
hey,
those,
he's
took
in
all
it.
those big, yeah, all those shots from Hrgovic didn't hardly wins. I mean, only in the last round he appeared kind of hurt, affected. But that was probably because he had already taken so many.
Yeah, yeah, and Hrgovic had a strong 12th. He definitely had a
Yeah,
strong 12th round. Now, I do
that
think
saved him.
he's ranked. The Ring has him ranked as the 10th best heavyweight in the world,
Hmm.
which he's right above Frank Sanchez. I think Frank
Yeah.
Sanchez could probably beat him. He could probably
But
beat him.
yeah, those rankings are, I wouldn't agree with them
Yeah,
really.
but they have him ranked 10th. I was trying to
Yes.
think. who who would be there in his place. But yeah, he's 10th. Frank
think he
Sanchez is 8th.
probably wants to fight Tony Yoka, to avenge the loss in the Olympics, and yeah. So
Yeah,
since Yoka has
they have to
lost,
be ready to feed Yoka to the wolves, though.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Or maybe Yoka says he wants it himself. It's like, I'm ready.
I think also because of his father's death, Hergovich wasn't in the right mindset
Oh
either
yeah,
when he fought that. So I hope he
yeah, that
has
is
now.
true.
He will come to the right mindset before he fights again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Certainly, certainly, because they did have to postpone that. So you are
Yeah,
correct in that regard. So we'll
he
see.
was
But
obviously very close with his father.
yeah, 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 and yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that was a big thing. Of course, it seems like it was a sudden thing too. So he wasn't
You know,
prepared for
he
it.
he and Babbage really, can't stand each other. But
They need to
what
make it
was
happen.
funny was, when Babbage was having his last fight, last year, they kind of met. I don't know where that fight was, in Germany or somewhere. I don't know. And Babbage was sitting, and he sees Hergovich walk up to him. I mean, and then he was like, "Hello," but Hergovich didn't say anything. So he thought, "All right, now it's a rumble, and let's go." But Hergovich, so he gets up, and then Hergovich just goes up to him, says, "Good luck," and just walks by.
Oh yeah.
So he was like, "What the hell happened
I
now?"
need to see that sequence. I need to see that
Yeah,
sequence. I'm gonna try to check out. I'm gonna try to check that out. That's funny. I know
yeah,
you mentioned that they have a dislike,
yeah.
and
Oh,
they need
you
to
know,
fight.
Hergovich used to be also trained by the same guy that trains Babic. So that's a part of why, but it's not the only thing. I think that's not the only reason.
Now Babik, he's Polish, right?
No, he's
Oh, he's
from
Croatian.
Croatian. Actually, his parents are from Bosnia. So
Oh,
anyway,
okay, okay,
hmm.
okay. Oh, so that's why you should. That's why you like Babbage.
Yeah, but actually, also I believe Hergovich
No,
is also his heritage is at least part Bosnian. I believe.
oh, okay, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason I always tie Hergovich to Poland for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that for Babbage, but yeah, Croatian in terms of where he's
They
represented.
will never fight because Babic knows he's just too small for him,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I was gonna say yeah, it's gonna be a
yeah,
big difference weight
yeah.
wise. Yeah,
I
he's
mean, you have
more.
seen that Hergovic can take punishment in his last fight, So
Yeah, and Babbage, he took some punishment in his.
yeah, and that was against some nobody, So
Yeah, yeah. This guy was hey, he stunned Babbage. Babbage showed some heart for sure. I think he got
yeah,
caught after the bell with the shot too, and he had him on wobbly legs, if I recall. I remember we were watching it at the same time there live.
yeah. Now Babic is going getting married, so he's got other things on his mind, and yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's see if that changes his tenacity.
Yeah, hope not. But guys who fight like he does usually don't have long careers. They go all out
Yeah,
and yeah,
yeah, certainly,
throw
certainly
a
to
lot
kind
of
of
punches and yeah,
get that burnout mode. Yeah, because he's
yeah.
dishing and taking for sure.
Hmm.
Rodolfo Rivera says, yeah, Ring Magazine rankings prefers resume over.
What? Oops! What happened? Let's go. All right, there he is.
Maybe maybe
Do
that's
I
a
have
sign. That's a sign right there. I did that again. That's a sign to wrap it up.
to get us in right
You kicked
place?
me out of here to get me to wrap it up.
We
There,
are mixed up.
Boz.
Now we have changed our spots, places.
Rodolfo says Ring Magazine will only bump up a guy with a small resume up the rankings if he looks super good. People like Jerron Ennis is a good example. Yeah, true, true. He does have that look. He does
Mm.
have that look like a fighter who is gonna make some noise. So yeah. but yeah, good stuff. But yeah, I guess we can wrap this thing up with the last and final fight of January 2023, which is going to be an IBF, WBC, and WBO World Light Heavyweight title between Artur Beterbiev and Anthony Yard, who said
Nice.
that Beterbiev is slow. So we'll see if he's too slow once they actually get in the ring. Who do you favor in that fight?
That's a good. I mean, of course, Beterbiev is a favorite.
It was a
by and large. Yeah. But Yard. I mean, Beterbiev has shown also that he does have a pretty good chin, so I don't give Yard much chance, even as a puncher, But
if Yard pulls it off, I will call him the greatest.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen in boxing that anything can pretty much happen. So
yeah,
but the chances are about 1 to 2% that Yard can pull off an upset. So
certainly, yeah. So we're gonna start the new year out with the light heavyweight banger there, and it'll be good for as long as it lasts, I imagine. And this is going to be on ESPN Plus, so we'll be able to check it out. And it's going to be in Wembley Arena. All right, so Yard will have some backing there. It's in his yard, I guess you can say. No pun.
He needs that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he will. He will. So Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says, "I'm taking Beterbiev by murder, especially without the Yard saying he's too slow." Yeah. It could be that. Let's hope he makes it out safely.
Yeah, that was kind of foolish to say, of course.
Yeah, but yeah, he's definitely done some talking. So we'll see if he's finally ready for that stage. See if he's finally ready. This will be a far cry from Lyndon Arthur. I will say that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think about. I mean, how long this will last. I think it can last for anything between like 3 and 10 rounds even, perhaps. But I don't think it will last 10.
I think Yard's just gonna have to come out gunning, and it didn't work for Joe Smith Jr. So good luck, But I think he's gonna have to take that approach.
Yeah, probably not longer than 5 rounds, maybe 6. Yeah.
Yeah, 6. We're calling it 6 rounds. 6 rounds. I'm gonna go with 6 as well. I think Beterbiev. I think I think Yard can maintain 6 rounds before he starts to fade or whatever. So 6 rounds. Right. Place your bets, folks.
Yeah, he has only been stopped so far in 11 by Kovalev. So yeah,
with a jab.
Yeah, that was because he took too many jabs, of course.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if Yard can shock the world here. But with that, of course, I guess it's now time to say goodbye. Do it all. But no. We appreciate everyone for being here, of course. It has been great. Rodolfo Rivera Jr., appreciate you dropping in, buddy. We'll certainly be in contact. Mr. Paz, appreciate you dropping in. The Boxing Librarian. My mom, of course, who dropped in this thing. Thank you for jumping in the mix. And any others who dropped in. We had varying numbers over the course of the stream and everything. So we appreciate you all, of course. We'll be here next week. If all goes well, next week we'll be back in the mix and rested up. We'll have a little something to talk about.
Right.
All right. With that, then everyone have a good one. Happy New Year once again, and we'll catch you in a few.
Happy New Year, everybody. See you. Bye-bye.